What happens when you fuse a Soulslike with the visuals from the Ori games? Well, you get this awesome game.
So, it's true. The king is dead.
You and I, we do what needs to be done.
You say it's awesome nowadays. I guess that's my boomer brain, fair enough. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. When I first saw the teaser of the game, I was slightly interested. I wasn't really hyped for it, other than the fact that Moon Studios is behind the development of this game. Moon Studios created gorgeous sceneries in their Ori games, so I was confident that they would also move their art style towards their next game. Once I saw some snippets of the gameplay, I wasn't too impressed. I don't remember why it didn't intrigue me. My stupid brain decided to not like this game for some reason. I think I started to get a bit interested when I watched the game overview video where the devs talked about almost everything that the game has to offer. It was then I was like, you know what? It looks good, so screw it. I'll get it. One way or another, I will get it. Maybe it's that I trust Moon Studios deep inside, and after putting hours into the game, I got addicted to it.
It's too late for fairy tales.
Okay, so if you didn't see my previous video on it, I basically was in the starting area of the game, getting used to the environment, combat, and the other systems. I barely scratched the surface of the game. Now that I've slapped in 40 plus hours into the game, I can say that this world is quite big, and there's still more to come, because this is just an early access build of the game. So far, there's what I like to call 3 main areas and 3 mini areas. The 3 main areas are the starting area, the city known as Sacrament, and the Nameless Path. The 3 mini areas are this Creepy Cave, the Sewers, and the Crucible. Although the Crucible is something of its own entity, which I'll talk about later on. But for just a quick heads up, it's basically the Endgame area, which I still struggle with. Yes, it's a skill issue, thank you. The interesting thing about the main areas, except for the city, is that the roaming enemies change depending on the story's progress. I remember fighting these random bandits known as the Risen at the starting area, but now I'm fighting against these weird monsters which are so annoying to kill. That's the Pestilence, by the way, and that's got to do with the story part of the game, which we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I didn't expect the enemies to change in the areas that I've already explored, and this game kind of makes you go back to the previously explored areas because of material farming. Gathering materials plays a big role in the game, so if you're not a fan of material farming, then stick to playing Fortnite or something. I don't know. The materials you gather are used for so many things that your inventory slots will always be maxed out, making inventory management an absolute pain to go through. Give me those flashbacks to Dead Space. Allow me to label a few things that you can do with the materials you gather. You can upgrade or enhance your weapons and armor, cook food for survival, furniture created to the game, bombs if you subscribe to the channel. Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff you can do with materials. It's why I had to go back and forth while fighting against the very fun Pestilence enemies. God, I love it when they split apart for more annoying enemies. Some might get bored from material farming, but the devs somehow made it less of a chore? I think it might be because it's kind of fun fighting enemies that you run across. Combat is quite fun and challenging. As I said in the previous video, this is a Soulslike. Basic enemies can kill you if you're not too careful. Multiple enemies can overwhelm you. Reading your enemy's attack patterns can help you gain an advantage over them. I played with more weapons compared to the last video, and I really want to try them all out. They are so fun to play with because each of them have their own attack speeds, ranges, movesets, and abilities. Every weapon is a new toy to play with, keeping the game fresh every time you jump in and decide to pick up a new weapon. But just know that you might not be able to play with all of them because I invested most of my points so that I can use this bow, and now I can't use some of the other weapons. Update: the Mad Lads updated the game so that you can use any weapon, but if you don't meet the requirements, you won't be able to deal the best damage possible. This is a great feature since it allows you to try out the weapon before thinking about investing your points towards the attribute. Also, another amazing update, the respec feature is here so that you can move around your existing attribute points. Now I don't need to regret my choices for pouring most of my points into dexterity. I'm telling you man, that bow ate up all my points. With all of that said about the weapons, you also have 4 kinds of rarities for both weapons and armor. Common is just the item itself, with nothing special, but it is the most customizable. Rare makes the item come with positive buffs like more damage or more experience points. Cursed, which is the purple colored items, and it's the same as rare items, but it comes with a negative buff, like you would take more damage or lose experience points when you die. I had to learn my lesson the hard way from equipping an armor piece that allowed me to take more damage. Finally, you have unique items, which are colored yellow or gold. And it's just as it says, they hold unique buffs found only on those items. I believe these unique items will always have the same buffs, whereas the items of other rarities will have randomized buffs. I briefly mentioned item customization, so basically you can make your own unique build for your character. As an example, I kinda randomly made this interesting build where my focus bar regenerates over time, which is perfect for this weapon that I have, and it relies on using my focus bar for huge damage. Also, this weapon helps to regain health every time I deal damage, so I'm basically invincible until I take massive damage and I deal the tiniest bit of damage. Here I thought I had the ultimate build. Anyways, every loot I've come across for weapons or armor have been randomized, so good luck on finding that perfect weapon or armor in this beautiful world. I've already talked about being a sucker for art styles, and this is definitely up there. What I really love about this game is whenever there's a possible scenic viewpoint, the camera will automatically move to a position that makes it look like the game went into game trailer mode. You know how game trailers like to slowly pan the camera to show the epic scenery? This game does that automatically, and it's so good when that happens because it makes you appreciate the amazing scenery that the devs have made. I kinda love doing that whenever I play games with great scenery. I just stand there and take in the sights, while breathing in the toxic air my PC has given me. While taking in the impressive sceneries, I couldn't believe the multiple paths or small locations that I missed until I went back to explore a bit more. It's kinda cool how they've managed to hide paths or areas in this top-down perspective unless you look very carefully. If you don't pay proper attention, you might just miss something. Like, I can't believe the amount of times I missed this cave entrance until I pushed myself to find out how to get into it. Combine the scenery and art with the cutscenes, and boy, do I want the full version of this game right now. I want to know what happens next, but it's only an early access game for now, so I have to wait. Without spoiling too much, I've basically reached a point where I cannot progress any further, because I guess I'm missing something that will help me open the way forward. I'm also guessing that to find that thing, I have to wait for the full launch. Either way, I am invested in the story because some of the enemies look interesting and maybe we'll see something more about them. But man, those cutscenes. French Kiss. I would love to see how they'll deal with intense action scenes with this art style. And I hope the devs that make those scenes get paid very well. By the way, this is a great time to talk about the Pestilence. So, to dumb it down, it's basically zombies, but make them Dark Soul enemies. Meanwhile, we are the Holy Warriors that have the task to defeat these enemies. Or in fancier terms, we have to cleanse the island of the Pestilence. That's a much better line actually, why did I not say that first? Unlike the Soul series, the story is quite clear, and you don't need to analyze every item description in the game to piece together the story. But doing that can give you a bit more lore to the game. Outside of the story and fighting, we gotta take care of our Giga Chad of a body by resting at our home. Within the city, you can buy a house for yourself to do many things such as smelting ore, creating armor and weapons, cooking food, and so much more. The number one thing you'll mostly be using your house for is storing your items. Inventory management is an absolute pain, but thankfully, They have chests for you to store the abundant amount of items you'll find in the world. On the other hand, if you're a pro Sims player, you'll be decorating your house with chairs, tables, and other furniture. I do wonder if there is a pro Sims player, like what makes you a pro at playing The Sims? Either way, it's good that you can customize your house, but man, would it be great if you could just teleport to your houses? I bought 2 houses and I rarely use the other house, except that the other house keeps all my cursed weapons and armor. Also, thank God they updated the game so that materials you stored in the chests can be used by the vendors as well, meaning that you don't need to go back and forth between your house and the vendors. It was a painful task before the update, let me tell you that. Okay, let's finish this video by talking about the Crucible, the endgame content. At the time of me recording this video, I have not completed this section. Why, you might ask? It's because it's really hard. To dumb it down, the Crucible is Hades. But for those that have never played Hades, you fight through multiple floors of enemies, with each floor having a different layout and enemies. Eventually, you reach a boss at the end of it. Or at least that's what I think is the end of it, because this boss hits hard. Even the enemies on the other floors can destroy me if I'm not too careful. The amount of times they knock me over the edge is insane. Also, there's no checkpoints while progressing through to the boss, meaning that if you die, you lose all progress and have to fight through each floor again. Those with the Hades experience might be thinking, this is nothing. But you have to remember that this has Souls-like gameplay added on top. So you better be locked into your chair to defeat this dude at the end. No Rest for the Wicked is a must play for me. You're missing out if you're not playing this game. This game is still in development as well, with the devs planning future content for the game. Content like co-op, PvP, new enemies, regions, story, and much more. The price of the game is not too bad as well, and it's being cooked by Moon Studios, who have already made 2 banger games. There's also been a bunch of patch updates to fix up the game, so they are really taking care of their game. All I'm saying is that your money will be well spent on this, and if you're in the mood for another kind of Souls-like, then this is it.
Where was the touch when our people were sick and starving?
A means of opening the way. This is why you're here.
Also, this boss has a second phase? Are you f***ing kidding me? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys later.